Welcome to Coach's Corner, where culture, strategy, and real talk collides. I'm Nia McConnell, and today we have a special recording of Coach's Corner. We're joined by the homies, the AAV team members, Kevin Storey and Erinn Bud. I'm so excited to have them. We are giving our hot takes on the Met Gala looks, and we're doing it from outside the club. We wasn't even invited in, but it's all good. Kev, tell the people who you are, what you do at AAV.
What up, y'all? My name is Kevin Storey. I'm the managing director of Tudo, Turn Up, Turn Out, our Black Voter Engagement Initiative powered by AAV, where we give people like yourself exclusive access to some of the hottest concerts and events all around the nation. We're talking about Cowboy Carter, Kendrick Lamar, the Roos Picnic, and Broccoli City Festival. So if you want tickets, we got you.
Erinn, tell the people about your role at AAV.
Hey y'all, my name is Erinn. I am art director over at AAV. I'm just here to make sure things look fly, move fly, and we be fly together. So let's get into it.
Get it?
This year's Met Gala was really special. It was all about dandyism and how Black men and Black women have used style to exert power and presence throughout history. So it just felt right that we come together and share our looks. We're always into the Met Gala, but this year it went down. So much so that it was the top fundraiser that they've ever had. They raised the most money that they've ever raised before. So I thought that was really cool and really Black. You heard me? That's how we do it. I want to hear Kev and Erinn's best looks of the night. We'll get into the what the hell he looks in just a second. Kev, Erinn, who were your top picks?
I'm gonna let E kick it off.
Dang, throwing me right under the bus that early. Okay, best looks of the night, Diana Ross. She ate the queen herself, the original reference. So shout out to Diana Ross. I'm also gonna give it up to Tiana Taylor. She ate, she cleared. Keith Powers. He looked really good. Keith did an amazing job. Babyface looked really good last night. So I feel like a lot of people kind of overlooking Babyface. And I feel like Janelle Monáe always pulls off a suit pretty good.
For me, my favorite looks was I think Pusha T. You know what I mean? He came through fly, clean, Louis Vuitton down to the socks. I thought that was a great look. Of course, Pharrell Williams. Even I like some of the more classic looks. I know we were talking about dandyism, but some of the gentlemen who came in on like a more classic look, like Russell Wilson, he looked great. Complimented Ciara well. She was like the shining gem, and he was like the perfect companion for her. I also like Usher look, very tailored classic. Lakeith Stanfield, right? He had the Jerry Lorenzo fit. It was giving like a samurai vibe to me, kind of like flowy, free. I kind of like the structure and silhouette of those looks. But on the women's side, for the women, Ciara looked great. Zendaya looked amazing. Nicole Scherzinger, I don't know how to say her last name, but she stood out to me. I loved her look. Doechii, Lauryn Hill, Dapper Dan. Dapper Dan came through fly fresh like a Harlem dude. So I love seeing all of them.
I feel like Dapper Dan got lost in the conversation that we seen online, which is really weird because he was a co-chair and he's always dandy down. So I'm happy that you had Dapper Dan on the list.
I just want to like bring up this or acknowledge like Tessa Thompson and her outfit, which included portraits hand drawn by an artist named Chris Watts. It was portraits of Andre Leon Talley, who was the editor at large of Vogue. He was like a Black man who kind of broke down walls for us in fashion. And her outfit featured fans that included a portrait of his image. And I thought that was a beautiful note. And also like it kind of like tied them back into the present, into the Met Gala, who's has this theme of Black dandyism, and he kind of like embodied that in his life. So I just wanted to add that.
Shout out to Russell Westbrook. He wasn't able to attend the Met Gala, but he did end up wearing one of Andre Leon Talley's pieces to his game last night, I believe, or the night before, just to kind of pay his homage to it. So I thought that was fire for someone that was not able to attend, still won, pulling that cultural reference, pulling that archival piece, and also showing his respects in a way that, fit what he was able to do. Major props to that.
I gotta shout out Quinta Brunson. She looked fantastic as well.
Same exact person. I was in my head. I was going through the list, and I was like, I think Quinta Brunson wore Tom Brown, and Tom Brown's group was really good this year. Their group is usually, their table is usually really strong, and I think that was another really strong table. Louis Vuitton had a strong table this year, so Quinta was top of my list of who I didn't want to forget.
Let's get into the what the hellies, because Louis Vuitton, they, first off, this Dallas girl does not get the French accent. So I know I'm saying it wrong. So y'all don't come for me. Louis Vuitton, that was interesting. Their table was really interesting to me. I feel like they dressed the men well. The women who wore the stockings, I just did not get it. I hope that somebody can come back and explain what that look was about, the whole stockings look. What did y'all think about the stockings?
Sometimes a hit is a hit and a miss is a miss. I think it was just one of those unfortunate misses from their side. A little surprising given the history and who's really like creative directing over there at Louis Vuitton. So I feel like it was a missed opportunity. I don't know. I feel like Louis Vuitton had the door wide open for them to really do something like cool and impactful. And for me, it kind of fell a little short on the mark. I wouldn't say it was a bad outfit, but like I expected more from Doechie's outfit than maybe I should have. But being the person that she is and the trends that she's been able to launch and knowing her creative genius of it all, it felt like we were playing a little safe for her on the Met this time.
Totally agree, Erinn. Doechii was one of those people who everybody was going to have their eyes on because she has done Dandyism really well, not even on this carpet. So we were expecting something way bigger. Now, let me say, I did like the short set. It's not that I didn't like it. It just feels like we could have went further. We could have went more. I feel the same way about Zendaya. What did y'all think about Zendaya's look? It's not that it was bad. It's just it left something to desire. What did you think, Kev?
At first glance, it reminded me of Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal,
That's a good one.
the white suit. So that's like when I saw it, I was like, Michael Jackson, Smooth Criminal. However, she looked great. It was very like feminine, right? Like we're talking about a woman in a suit. She didn't look masculine in the suit. It fit her well. She's like tall, lean. I guess she embraced the dandyism, right? So when you think about dandyism, you think about women and men who kind of like wore suits, wore the hat, all the accessories. So I think she dressed for the theme well, actually.
What did you think, Erinn?
I think this one was, in reflecting overnight, I think this one was a little tougher for her because Zendaya looks great in a suit at all times. And I like even thinking about Zendaya in a suit. There's this gray suit I think she wore maybe at one of the premieres. It's like a gray, almost like velvet suit that looks really, really good on her. And she could pull off a suit at any point in time. But I think this version of the suit, she wanted to go softer and like non-traditional, which I did think it fell a little flat on the carpet. And that is unfortunate because I think Zendaya is one of the fashion icons of her generation. But the reference that was pulled, I believe that one, if I'm not mistaken, was a direct reference of Diana Ross and Mahogany. So it's like the reference was there, being on the carpet with the reference. I think that would have been a cool moment if both of them kind of came out together or, walked part of the carpet together just to kind of tie in the theme a little bit. The hat maybe could have had a little bit more drama to it. The tailoring looked good, but I feel like it could have been, but in like certain angles, the way that the sleeves looked a little bit wasn't spot on, like how we know it to usually be for her. That's why some people may have felt a way about it. It was not a bad look at all. Was it her best look on the carpet? I don't know if that was, but I think she did an amazing job. She hit the theme right on the head. And I love a girl that pulls a good reference.
Speaking of reference, there was a moment where Diana Ross and Zendaya were on the carpet together, literally face to face, taking their shots at the same time. So if it was a bit more intentional, like you said, Erinn, I think that would have been amazing. But even when I saw them on the carpet at the same time, my thought of, dang, she just need a bigger, more dramatic hat Speaking of Zendaya, I'm wondering what happened between La Roche and Zendaya. I wonder, did they work together, which I feel like they did. I actually feel like both of them kind of missed to me. He was giving Ken Barbie with his blonde lace, and I was just like, give me the bust down weave that I love from you. It was confusing. They're both known for a good suit or a good tailoring and layering. So I was just kind of disappointed. And I think a lot of people had good references, but they either leaned too much into it and didn't give their own spin on it, or it was just flat and people didn't get the reference. Was there anybody else who did a good reference moment that we wanted to mention?
Not necessarily reference, but I do appreciate the symbolism and Lewis Hamilton's outfit. And I happen to know his stylist, Eric McNeil, who's like really, really dope. And some of the like critique, and I don't want to jump the gun here, but like even in CNN, right, this morning, they interviewed, I believe her name is, hold on, Chantrell P. Lewis, who wrote the book Dandelion, the Black Dandy in Street Style. And she introduces the idea that dandyism was like a, socio-political movement for black people to kind of like fight against the negative stereotypes that were being perpetuated at the time. So, as activism, right, they dressed to present themselves as educated and refined individuals, right? And this movement took place in Africa. Like, so if you do your research, like there's a big dandy movement in South Africa, right? And then like in contemporary culture, we think about people like Jadena, right? The classic man pulling from these ties. And then you see all of the African imagery in the videos and even in his, wardrobe, right? So she felt like this year that Africanness was kind of like extracted away from the Met Gala or not presented in this year's gala, where the theme was super fine, telling the story about Black dandyism, right? And she felt like that was missed. However, when I look at looks like Lewis Hamilton that incorporated the cowrie shells, you know what I'm saying, the beads. You start to see that African symbolism. However, it's not really promoted in mainstream culture or on the news. So I do want to give a nod to Lewis Hamilton and Eric McNeil for kind of like being intentional about telling that story about like Black African dandyism.
Yeah, I agree. I think Lewis Hamilton did an amazing job. The details don't get lost on someone like me. Like I love those type of Easter eggs when I can really look at the detail of the garment. I think that this was a tough year. Like this is a tough year to really kind of flex your muscles, this being a once in a lifetime kind of event, a once in a lifetime subject matter. Like yes, it has its roots in Africa. However, comma, in the best way possible, it's like this is about Black Americans and like the style that is created and the culture that us as Black Americans kind of cultivate. What I would have loved to see was a little bit more of like some zoot suits. I would have loved to see that a little bit more. Not to kind of like go too far off the deep end, but like I would have enjoyed to see. There were some people that I missed on the carpet that I would have loved to see on the carpet. Like to me, it was a miss that Janet Jackson wasn't on the stage. Like that woman knows how to wear a suit. She's been a big proponent of the movement back in the 80s. I know historically she has a great relationship with Tom Brown. I think Tom Brown has done a lot of her wardrobe specifically for her like most recent tour. I know when I saw her in Vegas, I think Tom Brown did all of the costumes for Vegas. So like there was, I would have loved to see her even reference herself in some of her older videos and just take a new spin on it. I think that would have been fun. Michael B. Jordan was missed. I don't know how that happened. Like he's having one of the biggest moments of his career, but it would have been cool to see Stack and Smoke. Like he comes out one as Stack and then another one as Smoke. The theater wasn't there as much as it usually is on the carpet. I know that Damson Idris did the whole reveal from the F-150 for whatever it's called, Formula One, like suit into like his actual suit. That was the only real moment of like drama outside of a long cape that I saw on the stage where it was like a reveal under. So I would have loved to see a little bit more of that. I would have loved to see, more do-rags and like what that could look like, and just like the juxtaposition between a do-rag and a suit, and done in a meaningful way and not in a caricature way. I think a lot of people tamed themselves a little bit this year and didn't want to be canceled, didn't want to be a meme, didn't want to push the boundaries a little bit further. Also, I would have loved to see a little bit more color. I think Tracy Ellis Ross did an amazing job with the color that she did. The entire Ross family did a great job. Diana did a great job. Tracy did a great job. Evan did a good job. But just there's so much room to be a bit different in color outside the lines, because that's our entire existence, and I would have loved to see that a little bit more.
And shout out to the people who did push the boundaries. Like Andre 3000 can't comes to mind. You know, he showed up in a whole piano strapped on his back. I thought that was a cool moment. And a trash bag, right? So it was like, what was in the trash bag? I didn't get that part of it, but like I appreciate Andre 3000, and also seeing the videos of him dressing Will Welch, who's the editor in chief of GQ. I thought that was pretty cool. Jaden Smith, you know what I'm saying? He lives in his own universe. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? He had some sculptural accessories attached to his face, which was very, artful. Yeah, those two people that comes to mind who kind of pushed the boundaries and gave you that drama that you're looking for, you know?
I agree. I wonder if we would have seen more black stylists, African stylists, if we would have got that um push that we were looking for in the theme. But I guess we'll never know because like y'all said, this was a once in a lifetime Met Gala theme, and I think more black designers needed to be on the carpet, more African designers needed to be on the carpet. The Olgan twins did really well. I saw the African diaspora push through with the twins. I thought that was dope.
Yeah, we got a list of your best looks, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I guess I'll say some names and you give us your thoughts and feelings on
Okay.
them. All right. So first up we got Al Sharpton.
You know what? Some people let Al Sharpton outdo them, and I did not appreciate that. How y'all gonna let Uncle Al Sharpton outdo y'all on the dandyism thing? That was wild to me, but
Plot twist.
he did his best. He did his best. Or top hat tuxedo look. What did y'all think of Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union looks? I feel like they hit the mark, so I'm not mad. I have them on a salute you. You did what you had to do list. I loved the black and white. Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade complimented each other on the red carpet, and I really appreciated that. So they are on the good list.
Yeah,
Did y'all have any thoughts about them?
I think they have a strong look. Like you said, they complemented each other well. They're like a couple. You don't see one without the other now, and it looks like that in their outfit. I can appreciate the beating in Dwayne Wade's vest. You know what I mean? I thought that was fire. And then Gabrielle Union, she looks great. I love her necklace. It looks like she's wearing a necklace from the Titanic, that rose, you remember that rose necklace, super sick. Yeah, I thought it was a strong look, you know.
It
And then
sounds
the way,
like Erinn passing on them.
how do you feel about men with painted fingernails? That's a left turn.
I don't really have a problem with men with painted nails. I just have a problem that mine not painted. Like, stop outdoing me. Is really the problem that I have. I need to get like them. I think it completes the look. When you think about what you carry on your bag, how you do your nails, the shoes that you wear, the accessories that you wear. ASAP Rocky recently did an interview where he was saying, why can Rihanna go into my closet and steal what she wants, but I can't steal anything out of her closet? He's like, I'm not going for it. You can't tell me what to wear. So I really appreciate ASAP's take on it.
Yeah. And I think that's like a very like fashion forward look, right? Like people who are into fashion, they start to look at garments outside of gender. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And fashion kind of like really blurs the lines and challenges all of those like thoughts and beliefs.
I love this conversation, Kev.
Yeah, I think for me, piggybacking off what ASAP Rocky said, like, everyone wears clothes, but not everybody has style. So like, you know, to really get in that bag and look at a garment for what it is, for the structural integrity, the work that's the craftsmanship put into it, you can respect that whether it's on either side of the coin of like the gender that is assigned to whenever it is created. But if you know how to put it on, you know how to put it on. So it doesn't matter, who is it intended for, as long as it works for you and fits how you want it to fit. Go ahead and rock it. I think we are some of the best accessorizers in the world. So like we could take, if we're going back to the like early 2000s, like yeah, we was wearing white tees and them, they had them long shorts on, but like again, it was a uniform, but everybody's uniform was a little bit different based on how they styled it, with their glasses, with their hats, with their jewelry. So it's like it's more than just letting the garment speak for itself. It's how you add your certain aesthetic to it when it comes to accessories. So I think that's super important. As for Gabrielle Union and for Dwayne Wade, they are a gorgeous couple. I think they look good together. I think the outfits complement each other. Do I think it was anything outside of what they've done before? No. I think it was a good, safe look in the best way possible.
Yeah, I think one of y'all mentioned it earlier is that there were some missed opportunities to show a range of what our dandyism is and from different time frames. I feel like there was some 90 dandyism that didn't make it. There was some pimp dandyism that didn't make it to the carpet. There was some do-rag moments done tastefully that we could have seen more of. I agree with y'all on that.
So it's interesting that you say that. So I thought about this, and this was like what I'm about to say was sparked by a conversation between Dapper Dan, June Ambrose, and a gentleman named A Noble Savage, Ali A Noble Savage. And they talked about like the history of dandyism and like the different types of dandy, right? So you hit on a few. So you have the pimp, right, which is a dandy, very excessive style. Then Dapper Dan coined this, the sweat boy, the
Yeah.
sweatsuit Dan, the sweatsuit.
Yeah.
So those like the dope boys, you feel me? Even a rapper, like the rapper dandy, how they express themselves. And then I started thinking about the other dandies, and one that was not mentioned by them is the pastor, like the preacher dandy.
To jump out my skin, Ken, because we like y'all let Al Sharpton outdress y'all, but y'all let every pastor in the South outdress y'all. Y'all let uncles outdress y'all. Like you see dandyism every Sunday. You hear me? So I wanted to see more of that. Kev, that was a good one. And it's just like what Erinn said about the white tee and the jeans. Like we do dandyism in our everyday life. We're not new to this. We so true to this. And it was just such a missed opportunity that people didn't tap into our black culture. They got our black coins with their fundraisers, but they didn't really represent black culture in a way that we wanted them to. Yeah, it was the theme, but I don't think the theme was respected as much as it could have. But we kind of know how it go. But I think last night's Met Gala thing pushed the culture forward regardless because it put us on a bigger stage. And so I'm excited about that.
I think Kerry Washington did a good job in the church dandyism. Like she looked very like Deacon Easter Sunday. It looked really, really good on her in a way where it's like she could have took like a whole Olivia Pope kind of vibe because we've seen her and stuff like that before. But I love the softness of what she pulled together, the amount of skin that was being shown. So it was like that juxtaposition between this could be a church outfit, but like this is also something that I'm able to show a little bit of body, a little bit of skin. I think she did a really good job thinking about, just like pimp dandyism. I would have loved to see Megan Thee Stallion really embrace that Tina Snow, that
Come
Houston
on,
culture,
man.
that Don Juan. Like, I would have loved to see her do that. She does a lot of like gender bending looks in like her music videos, but like I feel like the silhouette that she provided to us last night, not that there was anything wrong with it, was more like a Jessica Rabbit dandy to me.
Yeah.
and we've seen that silhouette on her before. I would love to see her do something a little bit more structured, a little bit more, on the masculine side. I think that would have been a really, really nice look on her. Obviously, accentuating the curves and stuff like that. She didn't need to be in like a 2000s NBA draft suit, like a box suit. She didn't need to be in one of those, but like I could see her really pulling off a nice homage to like Pimp C. That would have been really, really nice to kind of see her bring the South and the Southern dandy to New York City on the carpet. I do love her Josephine Baker reference when it comes to the hair, but I think that was the only piece that really tied the dandyism together, because had her hair been done in a different way, that outfit she had on could have been put at another event like the Oscars or the Grammys or something like that. So I just a missed opportunity for me.
Erinn, I totally agree with that. And I feel like we didn't see enough furs. You brought up Pimp C, which made me think about how Pimp C had that very classic look with the hat, the glasses, and the fur. Like that was such a Tina Snow missed opportunity with Meg Thee Stallion. So whoever is on Meg team, we need to have a conversation because it was a missed opportunity for Texas to be on that carpet.
Shout out to Sabrina Carpenter, who did pull out the fur. I think her outfit was actually pretty good. I would have put some stockings and probably a garter on her just to like add to the mystique on the bottom half. But I think she did a really good job, and I think this is her first Met, so I didn't want that to go unnoticed as well.
There was a few people who critiqued her look because they were like, there are pants. I was like, shit, I want to see Sabrina legs. They look good to me. And I liked the bunny silhouette, which kind of hinted to a dandyism era. I thought it was good. The color was rich too. Good call, Erinn.
What did y'all think of Kim K's look? How y'all feeling about that?
Hated it. What did they say on Living See? On Living Color, man. Yeah, whatever. Kim.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the same silhouette. It is the same thing, different font. I think that it's a given that she's going to be invited to these things. I think for me, for someone that has, for lack of a better term, profited off of the culture, she could have done a little bit more in bringing in certain elements without it being a caricature. It was a miss for me, but I mean, she's always going to be invited, so that doesn't change anything.
Somebody said Kim
I
K
dig it.
clothes never fit, and I just thought that was so funny because they were she was holding up her dress in the back on the red carpet, and I don't understand it, Kim. Just tailor your clothes where they fit you.
Are they too big or too small?
Small.
Oh, okay.
So they don't how they small and too big at the same time. How they glued to you, but then they sagging at the same time. I don't get it.
Yeah. I guess events like this, you expect for Kim K to kind of like show up and like shut the red carpet down. And I don't think she did that last night. You know what I mean?
I don't I Maybe my perception of Kim K is different, but I never expect a grand look out of her. I expect her to be on theme and in something form fitting, but like when it comes, like if we're saying, "Oh, we're looking forward to the Met," who is somebody that you want to see? It's always going to be Zendaya. It's always going to be Janelle Monáe. It's always going to be, who's done a really good job? John Baptiste has done a really good job. I think he's styled by Law Roach as well. Jeremy Pope does a really good job. I think his stylist is also Law Roach. So like I don't know if she is the fashion girl that she is like crowned to be, because I think that again fashion tells a story, and I don't know if her fashion actually tells a story, or is it's more of an accessory for her body.
That's a valid point.
You dropped the mic on that one, Aaron. Maybe that's why her clothes don't fit because she treating them more like an accessory than the actual star of the show. Mm,
Yeah.
that's a good one. Let's talk about the sisters, Serena and Venus.
I didn't actually see their look. So, this was happening at the same time as the Knicks Celtics game one playoff series. So I
Did the
was
Knicks
like,
win?
the Knicks won. Yes, we won. So I was excited. I was going back and forth from the Met Gala to the Knicks game to the Met Gala to the Knicks game. Then they got
Yeah,
3 minutes to the fourth quarter, and I was like, all right, Met Gala, I gotta focus on the Knicks game.
If I've seen their look, did one of them have like a tennis skirt on? Or am I making that up?
I think Venus had a green skirt moment that didn't quite hit the mark. I think that Serena had a mesh moment that didn't quite hit the mark. I'm constantly wishing for more from Serena and Venus, but at least they're invited to the carpet. So that's all I got.
I do like Serena.
Okay,
All right. Which sister is which? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Serena.
Venus is green.
I like Venus's dress more than I like Serena's, but they both look great. But
You like the shorter
Venus,
dress versus the longer one?
I like the. Is this the dress we're talking about?
No, that's a different year.
No.
The ex.
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, they look great. All right, I'm still gonna go with Venus on this one. Not to compare them, but I do like the green.
Okay. What you giving,
I'm
Aaron?
gonna I'm gonna have to give it to Serena on this one. I think Venus obviously played a little homage to their tennis background, with the tennis cut skirt in the front. It looked like skirt in the front, party in the back. Serena is giving Lady Liberty, Statue of Liberty kind of vibes.
Yeah.
Gorgeous gown.
Gowns, lots of gowns, pretty gowns. I feel like
Pretty
Aretha's
gowns.
spirit was pretty gowns. I feel like Aretha's spirit was needed. Yeah, and I think a lot of people didn't understand how gowns could make a reference in dandyism, but I think that women have a place in dandyism. June Ambrose obviously is a dandy, and I feel like she's always a part of the conversation but left off of the main stage, and I really hate that. But there's a conversation about how do stylists fit on the carpet, and I wonder how artists choose if they bring their stylist along or if they leave their stylist for the background. So I think Ty and Beyonce are an example of stylists having a place next to the artist. Zendaya and Law are an example of when the artist has a spotlight. I want to see June in the spotlight more and get credit for how she has pushed dandyism in our culture, in hip hop culture and black culture, and how she's had such an influence on all of us. Even my turban today, obviously, is a reference to June Ambrose. Like I'm always thinking about her and her creative style. So that was an interesting conversation that was out there about stylists being able to be in the front and not always in the back.
Yeah, Joe
Yeah.
Ambrose is great too. Like even historically in her career, she always pushed this notion of dandyism, right? And I found out she used to be a stylist for Busta Rhymes, right? So if you look at Busta Rhymes' old video, he's in the zoot suits like you wanted to see, Aaron. He has the hats. He was like his fashion was avant-garde. He pushed boundaries. He would wear like crazy stuff that most men wouldn't wear, especially in that time. You know what I mean? So shout out to June Ambrose for conceptualizing these looks and also encouraging her clients to like take those bold risks.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that in more recent years, the stylist has become almost as much of a household name as the actual artist or the talent, which I'm happy to see because I feel like their flowers are always due. I would have loved to see June Ambrose on the carpet. I feel like that was a missed opportunity. At least from the perspective of her, Dapper Dan, and so many other voices in the community having these big conversations, with Vogue, with other news outlets. Like it just felt like a missed opportunity to have her on the carpet. I would have also, I know this is kind of a wild card pick, but I would have loved to see Misa Hilton out there. And her version of dandyism specifically tied to the 90s and the work that she did with like Little Kim back in the day. I think that could have been a really, really nice and strong story to see what she could have pulled off or who she could have pulled it off for. But I would be remiss if I did not mention the legend Ruth E. Carter working with Tiana Taylor to create that Marc Jacobs look. She has styled everything from, Spike Lee's movies to, Black Panther. So like her gamut, her knowledge, her just eye for fashion design. She also did costume design for like Selma and so many other films. It was beautiful to see her not just on the carpet, but also understanding the work that her and Tiana Taylor put into said look, to create it, to cultivate it. I think it was an amazing job, and wanted to give her flowers as well.
Erinn, shout out to you because she also did Sinners and she did a phenomenal job. So I'm happy we did not miss an opportunity to give our flowers to Ruth. Yeah, I think I'm gonna get his name wrong, but Cardi B stylist, is it Colin Carter? I think it's Carter. We'll have to make sure we get it right. He don't miss with Cardi, and Cardi showed up on the carpet and did exactly what needed to be done with the suit, the hair, the texture. Yeah, so shout out to stylists who get it right.
Who did we miss on the carpet? Like, what are some faces that didn't make it to the Met Gala this year, and you would want to see them? You know what I mean? What they were able to pull off.
That's a good question, Kev. I love that question.
I could throw
Look,
one out. Okay, you got
okay,
it.
I'm gonna throw one. I'm gonna throw it right back to you. LeBron was a co-chair for this year's Met Gala, and he wasn't able to be on the red carpet, so we definitely missed him, Kev.
Dope, dope. What about you, E?
I think my tops were, I would have, like, I think I said this already, but I would have loved to see Michael B. Jordan come as both Stack and Smoke. I think that would have extended the lore around Sinners even more. Would have loved to see Janet Jackson out there. I would have loved to see Missy out there. I don't think I've ever seen Missy on the Met Gala carpet. I think this would have been an amazing opportunity with her Afrofuturism vision and what dandyism could be. Like Afrofuturism and dandyism, I think that would be an amazing kind of two-piece put together. And wild card, I would love to see like Denzel and what Denzel would have been able to do and pull a reference potentially from an old Spike Lee joint, like a Mo Better kind of moment. I think that would have been a really, really nice piece.
For me, I would love to see Tyler the Creator involved in the mix. He's kind of like, the creative dandy representing our generation. He pushes boundaries. He's bold. I thought he could have like really did something crazy. And then like Kendrick, you know what I mean? He's owning his style too. So it would have been cool to see how he would have like which references he would have pulled on and interpreted to his like LA West Coast kind of like gangster style. You know what I mean? So those are two.
Beyonce.
Beyonce, of course. Yeah. She would have shut it down.
She would have shut it down. Y'all remember when she used to be last on the carpet? Everybody was so excited to see her. I think Rihanna, we did not mention Rihanna because she showed up late and showed up with a bump. How are y'all feeling Rihanna's look?
Rihanna always looks great, and she's always pregnant. And she's been pregnant for the. I feel like she's always pregnant now. Like there's no gaps, no
Yeah,
space. Yeah.
ASAP, get off of
they,
her. We
they
need that
called
album.
her, they called him the pregnator. Pregnant impregnator. That's his new name. We ain't mad. Auntie not mad. Granny not mad. We just tired. That's it. We just
I'm like, yo,
I
every time
think.
I'm looking, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. You got it.
I was like, every time I hear about Rihanna, is that she's pregnant. It's like
yeah.
Rihanna's pregnant.
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed her off the carpet look better than her on the carpet look. Just like that effortlessness that she had, like when she was like, I think there's a picture of like her holding an umbrella walking through the street and just like belly out. Like that was very dandy for me. I think the look that she had on the carpet, she always looks good on the carpet. But I think for me, just like that moment, and maybe it would have been more of a moment had they not gotten her belly before. But just like even her and ASAP, just being regular New Yorkers at this point, walking through the street, like that was very dandy in general, and like that type of look I think was very flawless for her and effortless.
Yeah, shout out to Rihanna's pre-carpet moment walking through the street with the umbrella and the two-piece looking like a dandy for real, revealing her third pregnancy. That was definitely a moment. People were wondering, is that the actual look or will we get more? So I'm happy that we got more, but that was a moment. And I think seeing them on the carpet together would be cool sometimes. I think we understand why not. but seeing them together would be cool on the carpet. That would give, because they're two fashion icons of our day, and I would have loved to see them together on the carpet.
One last thing I wanted to mention was Bad Bunny. I think Bad Bunny looked really good, paying homage to his Puerto Rican heritage with the hat. I think that was like a really really nice nod. I feel like he rarely has misses. Someone is very intentional with the fashion that he chooses and how he likes to pay homage to his heritage, his roots. So I just wanted to kind of give him his 1-2 because I think he looked really good.
Shout out to Alton Mason. His look was phenomenal. Brian Henry looks was phenomenal. It was layered. It gave us color. It shut it down. It showed dandyism from both the African diaspora and from just Black American history. I love both looks. And that's it for this week's episode of Coach's Corner. Thank you for Kev and Erinn for joining us. Make sure you stay locked in and connected with us on IG at All Americans Vote. We are having an amazing sweepstakes with Kendrick Lamar and Beyonce. You do not want to miss an opportunity to see them, so make sure you enter today. All right. Thank you, Kev and Erinn. Holla.
Peace, guys.